In this video, we'll look at troubleshooting a connection issue between a virtual machine and a private endpoint in Azure Storage. So we're logged into the Azure portal at portal.azure.com, and we'll go to our resource group where we have everything created. So from the shortcuts here on the main screen, we have a shortcut under resources to dial test RG, and that's our resource group. We could also search for it through the top menu, but we'll just select it here. Now, we have a number of resources we've created in here, and if we select Resource Visualizer from the menu on the left, and then zoom in by pressing the magnifying glass icon down on the bottom here, the one with the plus sign, we can see how our resources are connected together. So we'll just move this over a little, zoom in some more. So we can see that there's a virtual machine here. It has a network card and some disk storage. If we move our diagram up a little, we can see that those are connected to a virtual network here. And if we scroll down a little further there, we can see that there's a Bastion host and an IP. And we can also see there's a network security group. Scrolling back up, we have a couple of storage accounts. We also have a private endpoint created that connects us to this storage account here called dial aloud account. And we can also see our private endpoint NIC, and we also have a private DNS zone. So the issue is that our virtual machine, which we've also connected to, so we'll just select that there now, cannot map a network drive to our resource. We have a file share there. So let's show that. I'll paste in a script that maps a network drive. And if we attempt this, we can see that we're getting an error back that says the network path was not found. So we'll try to see if the name of our storage account is resolving. Now, there are a couple of commands that can help us. First, nslookup. So let's try that. First, we'll clear the screen. And our command is nslookup, and that's the name of our storage account, dial aloud account.file.core.windows.net. So let's try it. And nslookup is telling us that the record is there, and we have an address of 10.0.0.6 for the account. We can also use the PowerShell command resolve-DNS name. So let's just take a quick look at that one. Again, we'll clear the screen. We'll just clear it for each command. So this one is resolve-DNS name and the same name, and it gives us a little more information. We can see that there's a host record or an A record created, and we also have the time to live value, and it's also still giving us that IP. PowerShell also has a testnet connection command, so let's give that a run. So the command is testnet connection and the same name, and you can see that it's trying to ping. So here we can see the source and the destination addresses, and it tried to ping the resource, which you can see under ping succeeded, and the status is failed. So let's dig a little deeper. We'll return to the Azure portal, and we'll try Network Watcher. So we'll do a search for Network Watcher in the search box and select it from the drop-down menu. There's a couple of tests in here we can try. So if we scroll down a little, and first we'll use connection troubleshoot. So in here, we're going to try to connect from our virtual machine to our resource. So the source type is virtual machine. Then we select our virtual machine by pulling down the list box, and our virtual machine is dial test VM1. We'll scroll down a little, and our destination is not a virtual machine, so we'll specify that manually, and we'll use the fully qualified name for our resource. That's dial aloud account.file.core.windows.net, and we'll use ICMP, which is a ping, and run our diagnostic tests. So we'll scroll down to see our results. So here in our results, we can see that the connectivity test was unsuccessful, and it's saying that our status is unreachable. Now let's try next hop to see how the connection is being routed. So from the menu on the left, we'll choose the next hop shortcut, and we'll scroll down here, and we had to make a few selections here. So we'll check our resource group first, and we have dial test RG. Our virtual machine is dial test VM1, and that's the network interface. Our IP address is 10.0.0.4, and our destination, and we can check back with our virtual machine, was 10.0.0.6. So let's see. So we'll click on the next hop button and wait for our results. So it's completed. Let's scroll down. And we can see here that the next hop type is virtual network. So it is getting out to the virtual network. There's nothing blocking it here. And the route table ID says that it's a system route. So the system route is in place and it's getting that far anyway. So now IP flow verify can tell us how our security rules are affecting our flow. So let's run that. So IP flow verify is on the left-hand side here again. We'll select that from the menu and we'll click OK as we discard our results. And again, so we'll pick our virtual machine, which is dial test VM1. The network interface, because it may have more than one, we'll select the default one that's there. We'll scroll down again. The protocol is TCP, and our direction is going to be outbound. We'll pick a local port number, a high random port like 2255, that's fine. We'll scroll down again. The remote IP we're testing here is 10006, and we'll try that on port 443. So we'll click on Verify IP Flow and wait for the results. So our results are in. Let's scroll down to see them. And access is allowed, and the security rule that's allowing that is one called Allow vNet Outbound. So there's no problem reaching the network. So let's see if any routes are causing an issue. We want to list all the routes that are currently affecting this machine. So let's go back to our resource group. So if I just click on Home in the menu at the top, we can see our resource group is listed again under our recently used items here. So we'll just click that. And we're interested in the network card that's connected to our virtual machine. So let's just scroll down. You can see there's a network interface here called dial test VM 1242. So if we select that, then on the menu on the left again, if you go down under the help menu, there's a shortcut called effective routes. So if we select that, it'll build a routing table for us. And now we can see that we have a number of routes here, but the very first one is a default route, and it's to the 10.00/16 virtual network, which is a network that both of our interfaces are on. So we seem to have just default routes. If I scroll down, there are no other routes that were manually added here. So everything seems to be in order here as well. Let's check our private endpoint because that's what we're trying to reach here. So let's go back to our resource group. And again, at the top menu here, if we just select dial test RG from there, our private endpoint is here listed at the top of our resources. So we'll just click its name. And then under settings on the menu on the left, under DNS configuration, we can find out a few things here. And one of the things that pops up here is the name, dial aloud, account file core.windows.net. But if you notice, the IP address is 10.0.0.5, and our NS lookup was telling us that it was 10.0.0.6. So we should check out our DNS settings. So let's go back to our resource group. If we scroll down to the bottom here, you can see that we have a private DNS zone created. So let's select that. And on the menu on the left, if you go under DNS management and check record sets, we can see there's a start of authority, but there's also one for our dial allowed account, and the number is 10.0.0.6. So there's our problem. So if we click the pencil icon here, which is edit, we can go in and change that IP. So in the IP address box, we'll just backspace over the 6 and put a 5 in there, and we'll apply. Now we'll go back to our VM and try a few commands here again. So let's run the ns lookup command. So there's our ns lookup command again, and this time we're getting an answer back at 10.0.0.5. So let's try to map that drive again. So we'll run our script, and sure enough, we have a drive letter Z mapped to our file share. So that's a look at troubleshooting a connection issue between a virtual machine and a private endpoint in Azure Storage.